We know that people hate inflation right now, but it's not clear that they hate them because of this menu cost, this shoe leather cost that we write down in our conventional models that shows up in something like Mankew's textbook. So those are the costs in our textbooks, but people say inflation is bad for other reasons. What people say, almost uniformly, if you go out and run surveys, is that people don't like inflation because wages don't keep up with prices. So there's a classic survey by Schiller making this point. He goes out, he asks people in the late 1990s, why don't you like inflation? And what people say is, we don't like inflation because prices are going to rise, wages aren't going to catch up. That means I'm going to be poorer. Traditional economists haven't taken this view too seriously. So why not? The classic view is that maybe these costs of inflation aren't too big, despite what the people are saying. So this is a view that, for instance, Mankew puts forward in his textbook. And his argument is that if you look in the data, nominal wages generally keep up with prices after an inflationary shock. And so we're going to try and reconcile these two views and put a new spin on the idea. We're going to say that inflation imposes costs on workers because during a time of high inflation, employers don't automatically give workers raises when inflation is high. Instead, workers have to fight for these raises. That places them in conflict with employers. That's the key idea of the paper. It's bringing forward this notion of conflict. It's saying that when inflation's high, for nominal wages to catch up with prices, people need to be doing conflict. That's difficult. That's painful.
Hey, Joe, let me just jump in here and mention a tweet that Vox's Dylan Matthews did yesterday. I think very telling, very clever. And he's talking about your paper. He goes, inflation is a tax on conflict-averse people who are bad at negotiating. Me. So I thought that was very funny and very nice summary of your
Exactly.
paper.
No, that's perfect. Thank you for that. And our hope is that this paper, it's not exactly an observation that we've seen somewhere else, but we kind of feel when we say it to people, it resonates. People say, yeah, I myself, that's kind of why inflation is difficult.